The Black Gate opens, Episode 1. Crossing the Black Gate, Saturn and the silence of the soul. There is a point in every seeker's life when the noise no longer nourishes. Advice becomes an echo chamber. Bright promises feel thin. What remains is a heavier knowledge, felt in the bones more than the brain, that the path ahead does not rise, it descends. It descends into a disciplined quiet where things have edges again, where you can feel the frame of your life like stone underfoot. That descent, in the language of the mysteries, is the crossing of the Black Gate. This is not a gate of spectacle. It's a gate of form. You don't barrel through it with enthusiasm. You arrive as if you've been summoned by your own sincerity. The password is not a word at all, but a posture. Shoulders lowered, breath unhurried, the heart willing to be exact. Saturn guards this threshold, not as a tormentor, but as a tutor. He is not here to deny you joy. He is here to grant you weight.
Knocking at the threshold.
The oldest initiations don't begin with fireworks. They begin with failure, with a confession that the old certainty has collapsed. Call it the end of religious argument, the exhaustion of self-help, the shattering of the clever persona. On the far side of that collapse, a quieter hunger appears. The appetite for form, for discipline, for something you can trust, not because it flatters you, but because it holds. To knock on the Black Gate is to admit you are ready for that holding, ready to be measured, ready to be slowed, ready to learn the holiness of limits. The gate opens not to brilliance but to fidelity. You show up, you stand still, you let the structure of reality press back. It's astonishing how quickly life grows clear when you stop bargaining with its edges.
Saturn, Lord of the Limit.
In the ancestral imagination, Saturn, the Roman face of the Greek Kronos, is the old lord of time and harvest, the ringed sovereign whose scythe cuts both crops and illusions. Yes, the myth is severe, the devourer of his children, the somber king. But myths are mirrors. They show us what we refuse to see in daylight. Saturn's devouring is not petty cruelty. It is the recognition that everything formed is also food for something larger. All seasons turn. All crowns are compost. Saturn is the god of thresholds. He says, if you want to pass, honor the limit. Not because limits are prisons, but because they are vessels. Wine without a cup is a stain. Power without structure is damage. Under Saturn's gaze, we learn what every true craftsperson knows. The frame is not an enemy of beauty. It is its condition. The artist meets the canvas. The composer meets the bar line. The athlete meets the lane. The soul meets time, gravity, duty, and grows luminous within them.
Lead in the black work.
The alchemist spoke of Nigredo, the black work, first among the stages of transformation. The metal of this stage is lead, Saturn's metal, dull, dense, ordinary. The teaching is simple and unsentimental. Before anything becomes gold, it must consent to be lead, unadorned, honest, heavy enough to stay put while the fire does its work. In life, Nigredo is the season when you stop pretending you're above the basics. You sleep on time. You keep an account of your money. You tell the truth without performance. You craft your day like an apprentice, not a celebrity. It feels almost too plain to call spiritual. That's the point. The spirit is not a loophole. It is a lawfulness that saturates the ordinary with meaning.
The cube. archetype of form.
Of the shapes that haunt sacred space, none is more Saturnine than the cube. 6 faces, 12 edges, 8 corners, a mandala of containment. In the cube, inside and outside are unmistakable. Boundary becomes blessing. The cube whispers, hold what you are, don't leak, don't sprawl. Become a room in which something real can take place. Across cultures, the cube appears where gravity meets sanctity. A black cubical sanctuary encircled in 7 orbits. A stone set at a corner to remember the covenant. A temple whose measurements must be exact so the presence can dwell. These images are not about architectural fussiness. They are about the metaphysics of hospitality. Spirit will visit where form is coherent. The cube is a vow to coherence. You can feel the cube as a body prayer. Align the spine. Let the breath find its corners, front and back, left and right, crown and base. As you breathe, walls grow friendly. You discover the relief of structure, the way a well-built room is not a trap, but a kindness. It keeps out the weather so a fire can warm the center.
The mountain and the law.
Every civilization remembers a mountain where the human meets the more than human. Sinai, Kailash, Meru. The stories are unanimous about the mood of such places. They do not flatter the climber. They impose silence. They do not reward theatrics. They demand exactness. At the summit, what is given is not gossip. It is law. Not tyranny, but order. The law is not a random list of tests. It is the grammar of the real, set in stone so that freedom can have a floor. Approaching the mountain is Saturn's schooling in slow ascent. Camp lower than you can. Leave nothing behind but footprints. Take nothing you have not carried. Notice how spiritual maturity hides inside mountaineering etiquette. Patience, humility, attention to weather, trust in the rope team. Form guarding life.
Binah, the womb of understanding.
In the Kabbalistic map, Saturn is kin to Binah, understanding. Not the cleverness of argument, but the quiet depth that comes when sorrow is metabolized and limits are loved. Binah is mother wisdom, the sea that holds the seed, the vessel that shapes the song. From her throne, the watcher angel of heaviness and memory presides, not to accuse, but to record. Nothing is lost in the book of understanding, not a tear, not a vow, not a small act of restraint. All of it becomes material for your future clarity. Sit long enough with Binah and you sense why genuine understanding is solemn. It is born from patience with reality as it is, not as we fantasize it. It refuses to confuse noise for news, passion for proof, charisma for character. In her presence, the soul grows adult.
2 faces of the keeper.
It helps to name the paradox. Saturn is both womb and devourer. He is the mother who contains and the scythe that cuts. At first blush, that feels contradictory. With practice, it becomes obvious. The container and the cutter share a mission: to keep what is good whole. Sometimes that means holding a boundary so something fragile can grow. Sometimes that means cutting away what would rot the whole from within. The gardener prunes the vine for the sake of grapes. The midwife cuts the cord so the child can breathe. Living Saturnically is learning to cut and contain in love. You prune your calendar. You contain your speech. You cut a habit that corrodes your courage. You build a small, trustworthy order so beauty and strength can appear.
The cross as geometry.
The cross, seen through this lens, is not merely a religious emblem, it is a geometry, the world axis crossing the timeline. Vertical and horizontal meet, pinning a life at the intersection of eternity and responsibility. In that crossing is a Saturnine initiation, learning to stand where you are, to accept the weight of the day without bitterness, to let the exactness of your duties become an altar rather than a prison. You discover that discipline and devotion are not two paths, but one. When the dishes are washed with attention, when the budget is kept with integrity, when the phone is turned off so sleep can be honored, you are not escaping the world. You are redeeming it, square meter by square meter.
The grammar of command, word as craft.
Later in this series, we'll explore how magicians drew circles and engraved seals to organize unruly forces. Before the tools, there was a prior discipline, speech. In the antique imagination, the temple was built in silence because the stones were shaped elsewhere. The analogy is precise. Words are the quarry. Speak roughly, and your inner architecture wobbles. Shape your language elsewhere. Prayer, vow, honest confession. And when you assemble your day, it stands straight and true without shouting. A quiet challenge follows. What if you withheld one habitual sentence for a week? Gossip, complaint, half-truth, and let that withheld phrase become the stone you shape in silence. The room you build inside will surprise you.
The pedagogy of limits.
Saturn teaches by materials: time, money, body, speech. 4 plain arenas where the soul learns to be real. Time. Set a window for sleep and waking, and keep it for 7 days. You will rediscover a lost sacrament, dawn that arrives on time like a blessing. The calendar will begin to feel like a covenant. Money. Track every dollar for a month, not to punish yourself, but to tell the truth about your appetites. You will learn that generosity requires geometry. A gift means more when the vessel is sound. Body. Choose one form practice and be faithful to it. Standing meditation, daily walking, simple strength work. Precision is prayer when the joints are listening. The ache in the hips is a psalm. Speech. Make a fast from sarcasm for a week. Replace it with a single honest sentence each night to someone you love. Language cleans the heart's windows. The room gets brighter.
When people talk about the spiritual path, we often imagine ethereal breakthroughs. Saturn smiles. The breakthroughs come, but they stand on ordinary floors.
The shadow at the edge.
Powerful thresholds always have counterfeit twins. There is a glamour to severity, a haughty coldness that mimics dignity. There is an elitist pride that counterfeits exactness with cruelty. There is a chic nihilism that calls itself wisdom while refusing to care. These are not Saturn's children. They are orphans dressing in his robe. How to tell the difference? True Saturn leaves you more caring, not less. You become harder on your own evasions and gentler with other people's hearts. Your voice grows steady, not sharp. Your presence becomes a harbor, not a blade.
Circling the center.
Imagine a sanctum at the center of your life, a cube so precise that a single candle could warm it. Around it you walk, not frantically but faithfully, 7 turns each day, 7 simple observances that you can actually keep. For one person, the orbit might be: wake quietly, drink water before coffee, sit 10 minutes, do the work you're afraid of before checking your phone, touch daylight, speak one praise aloud, sleep early. Another person's circuit will be different. The secret is the return. You come back and back again, until the returning makes you real. The orbit is Saturn's praise. It's how we honor gravity without grumbling. And slowly, imperceptibly at first, the center warms. A life that once felt scattered becomes room-like. People who step into it feel held without being controlled. You realize that sanctity was never a mood. It was a way of making space.
Why the gate is black.
Black is the color of beginnings you cannot brag about. It is the color of soil before seed, of sky before dawn, of grief before gratitude. The black gate is painted in the color of honesty, so no one mistakes initiation for an aesthetic. It keeps away tourists. It welcomes workers. If your life has delivered you to that low threshold, through heartbreak, burnout, humiliation, or the plain admission that noise is not wisdom, know this: you are closer than you think. The teacher at this gate does not ask for fireworks. He asks for a chair, a notebook, a willingness to keep a promise that no one else can see. He asks for love of limits, not as chains, but as frames for a beauty that wants to stay.
Crossing.
So we cross, not with a flourish, but with a breath we're willing to count. We cross by making a room and keeping it clean. We cross by learning that discipline is a kind of tenderness, that form is the friend we have been avoiding, and that silence is not the absence of meaning, but the vessel in which meaning becomes audible. On the far side of the black gate, the world is not smaller. It is more exact. Your days gain edges. Your words carry weight. Your work becomes trustworthy. And a strange, quiet joy begins to accumulate. The joy of being real in a world that keeps asking us to perform. This, more than anything, is Saturn's gift. Not ecstasy on demand, but a durable gladness that survives weather. A sovereignty that does not need an audience. A way of living that can bear fruit in season because the roots have finally reached stone. Welcome to the gate. Take your time, honor the limit, build the room, and let the silence teach you what no noise ever could. Thank you for crossing the black gate with me. If this journey stirred something within you, make sure to subscribe to Positive Vortex, like this video, and share it with others seeking deeper wisdom. The path continues in the next episode. Don't miss it.